ඔෆිස් එකේදී විතරක් නෙවෙයි මම දැන් ගෙදරදිත් IDD කෝල්ස් ගන්නේ SLT ෆෝන් එකේ.
ඔබේ නිවසේ SLT දුරකථනය දැන් IDD පහසුකම සහිතයි.
Making headlines this evening for First at 9. Valikada revisited. Inspector of Police, Narcotics Bureau Niyama Rangajiva and Prisons Commissioner Emil Ranjan Lamaheva remanded over the Valikada prison clashes. Trailblazers, a six-way tie for the All-Ireland BES results in the GCE ordinary level examinations for the first time. Show of solidarity. United National Party's Working Committee decides to defeat the no-confidence motion brought against the Prime Minister. Allegations rebuffed. Retired Rear Admiral Sarath Veerasekara questions the numerous personalities pointing their fingers at Sri Lanka in Geneva.
War crime experts, they have said we have never committed war crime. So how can you say that there are overwhelming evidence to say that we have committed war crime? So
Ball tampering saga. Australia's coach Darren Lehmann is set to quit, contradicting what he said hours before.
I'm not going to resign, as I said. We need to change how we play.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammika Ekanaika. Now to our top story of the evening. In the backdrop where Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe is pressured with the no-confidence motion against him, the Working Committee of the United National Party today decided not to support the motion in Parliament. Deputy General Secretary of the UNP, Minister Akil Viraj Karimasam, revealed the decision following a meeting of the UNP Working Committee this morning.
The UNP Working Committee gathered at the headquarters of the party today to discuss the no-confidence motion against Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe as well as the restructuring of the party. Following the 2-hour-long meeting, members of the Working Committee expressed views to media.
If ministers or deputy ministers of the SLFP support the no-confidence motion on the 4th of April, they must leave the government on the 5th itself. The leader of the party promised the Working Committee that the restructuring of the party will take place in the next 2 months. The important thing that happened here today was that members of the party who earlier said they would support the no-confidence motion stated that they wouldn't. All of us came to a decision to not support the motion. The party's restructuring committee presented their report today and accordingly intended measures will be declared before the Sinhala and Tamil New Year, specifically on the 5th, 6th and 7th of April. It was decided to sack anybody who support the no-confidence motion. No, there were no such views expressed. Meanwhile, several organisations, including the United National Freedom Front, have decided to engage in a protest march from the 31st of March to the 4th of April, demanding the Prime Minister to be removed from the post. Views were forthcoming today as well on the no-confidence motion against Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, which is set to be taken up in Parliament on the 4th of next month.
Nothing is going to change in the UNP. The Working Committee is a body which has been appointed by Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe himself, and they will act only according to his whims and fancies. He has told the Working Committee all the changes will take place after the 5th of next month. That is after the no-confidence motion, and they have made a request that for everyone to vote in favour of the no-confidence and to see that the Prime Minister is retained. That is why we have decided to march from Kandy to Colombo. It will end in Colombo on the day of the vote. We are trying to tell the parliamentarians of this country that the people are against this Prime Minister.
They postponed changing the leadership of the UNP by another 2 months. That's because over 50 to 60 members of the UNP will support the no-confidence motion if they do it now. If the no-confidence motion is won, the Prime Minister will have to resign. The entire cabinet of ministers will also have to be dissolved. So, with the support of the President, a new cabinet of ministers as well as a Prime Minister can be appointed. I am very happy at the moment. If the first 13 issues of the no-confidence motion are based on the findings of the Bond Commission, there is nothing new to talk about the stance of the SLFP. There is a high possibility for a new government to be formed. Now, there was much activity today as well to elect leaders to local authorities, with the chairmanship of the Valley Madhya Pradesh Sabha, where Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna had a majority, going to the United People's Freedom Alliance as the United National Party and the UPFA came together for the ballot. With that, let's take a look at how various battles for power unfolded around the country today. During the local authorities election held last month, 41 members were elected to the Valley Madhya Pradesh Sabha, with the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna claiming 18 seats, the United National Party claiming 15, 5 for the United People's Freedom Alliance and 3 seats going to the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna. During the ballot to elect its chairman today, candidate of the SLPP Indika Sampath received 18 votes. The UNP did not put forth a candidate and they voted for UPFA's SAR Bandhusena, who became chairman of the Valley Madhya Pradesh Sabha with 20 votes. In the meantime, the chairmanship of the Nuwara Pradesh Sabha, where the UNP held a majority, went to the Ceylon Workers' Congress. The candidate of the CWC had the backing of the SLPP as well, and he won the ballot with 12 votes, with the UNP's candidate only securing votes of his party members. In the meantime, chairman and deputy chairman of local authorities where Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna established power took oath before former President Mahinda Rajapaksa today at Carlton House in Tangol. They include Pradesh Sabhas of Beliatta, Veerakatiya, Angunakola Palassa, Katuwana, Ambalantota and Ambalipitiya. In the meantime, members elected to Kasbava and Borlaskamu urban councils from the SLFP took oath before the Chief Minister of Western Province, Isuradeva Priya. Moving on with other local stories, Inspector of Police Narcotics Bureau Nimal Rangajiva and Commissioner of Prisons Emil Ranjan Lamaheva, who were arrested over the Valikada prison clashes in 2012, are remanded until the 10th of April. Colombo Additional Magistrate Ranga Disanaka issued the order after the duo was produced before court today. 27 inmates of the Valikada prison were killed and more than 20 others were left injured during the clash that erupted at the prison on the 9th of November in 2012. Prison inmates took control of the populated prison, objecting to an unannounced search by the Police Special Task Force to nab hidden arms, drugs and mobile phones at the premises. They also demanded that the authorities reconsider their death penalties. Inspector Nimal Rangajiva of the Police Narcotics Bureau was arrested by the Criminal Investigations Department last evening over pertaining to the incident. IP Rangajiva reported to work recently after sustaining serious injuries during a large-scale heroin raid in the area of Piliyandala last year. Prisons Commissioner Emil Lamaheva, who was the then Superintendent of Prisons in charge of the magazine prison in Valikada, was also arrested by the CID at his official residence last evening. The suspects were admitted to the National Hospital in Colombo for treatment this morning. The Additional Magistrate of Colombo, Ranga Disanaka, visited the duo in hospital and ordered them be remanded until the 10th of April. Attorneys appearing on behalf of them requested court to provide tight security to the two suspects at the prison as there are threats to their lives. The magistrate accepted the request and ordered the Superintendent of Prisons to provide extra security for the duo. Family members of inmates who perished during the Valikada prison clash in 2012 also arrived at the court premises. Former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa alleges that the public administration of the country has failed due to wrong decisions made by the government. He made these remarks yesterday addressing a public meeting in Kuliyapitiya. We know that the public administration of the country has deteriorated. It has in fact collapsed. It is owing to several factors such as removal of talented persons from due positions, not permitting them to make decisions and threats levelled against them. Most do not have an understanding of the foreign policy. It will hinder our journey if we intervene in the power struggle of the world's superpowers. By 2025 to 2030, Asia will become the most important sector in the world's economy. When Asia gets that opportunity, as a country, we have to be ready, otherwise we will lose that opportunity as well. The organisation ELIA convened a media briefing today to discuss the outcome of their participation at the 37th session of the United Nations Human Rights Council held in Geneva recently. Addressing the media briefing, Rear Admiral Sarath Weerasekara expressed optimism in their contribution to change the negative perspective harboured by the international community on Sri Lanka. Members of the Global Sri Lankan Forum and organisation ELIA represented Sri Lanka at the UNHRC sessions through the UK-based non-governmental organisation International Buddhist Relief Organisation.
This time we submitted a petition challenging the Human Rights Council because Mangala Samaraweera, the foreign minister at that time, he has co-sponsored this resolution without the approval of the President and the Parliament. And because he has co-sponsored that, the Human Rights Council adopted this resolution 30/1. If it had been subjected to interactive dialogue or for a vote, then many countries would have supported us. We had the opportunity to question Yasmin Suka, who was one of the prominent figures in the Darusman committee. And she has said that the government forces have killed more than 40,000 people during the last stages of war. And we asked her, how can she make a statement like that? Because Lord Naseby at the House of Lords has very categorically said that not more than 7,000 to 8,000 had died. And also the UN special reporter who was stationed in Sri Lanka also said that the exact figure was 7,791. It tallied with the government census. So when we asked from which sources that you have got this number, she could not answer. And also the Carlos was the person who was also hired by the Tamil diaspora. He said there were overwhelming evidence to say that our people, the government forces, have committed very serious war crime. When we asked, he has not set foot on Sri Lanka, and there are 6 war crime experts. They have said we have never committed war crime. So how can you say that there are overwhelming evidence to say that we have committed war crimes? So he also could not answer. Now we are able to show the world that there is another side of the story.
Through this transitional justice process, the resolutions that are to come to have a hybrid court system, that means we give away our sovereignty for a universal jurisdiction. Sri Lankan citizens can be tried elsewhere for various reasons, which will not have a proper due process where the witnesses can be cross-examined. And if you also notice the recent events, the issues in Kandy and elsewhere, I have a doubt whether it is part of the same process of internal self-determination quest of certain elements abroad, which is continuously trying to enforce upon the Sri Lankan government with a foreign sponsorship that we should go for a federal constitution. This can go for a secession in the long run. Another set of people within Sri Lanka, particularly the Muslims, I have a doubt whether they have been taken on a ride for a separate self-determination process and go for resolutions against the Sri Lankan state to encourage and so that to support another set of process which is coming against Sri Lanka. I urge that all politicians, including the Muslim politicians, citizens of Sri Lanka, will have to look into this very seriously.
Results of the GCE Ordinary Level Examination of 2017 was released last night. Now 6 students are tied in first place for the island's best results, which is a first in the country's history.
6,888,573 students sat for the GCE Ordinary Level Examination in 2017, with results released last night placing 6 students in a tie for the island's best results. Kasuni Hansana and Chamodi Ravisa Supasinghe from Ratnavali Balika Vidyalaya in Gampaha, along with Navodaya Prabhavi Ranasinghe and Limasha Amandi Vimalabira from Mahamaya Balika Vidyalaya Kandy, as well as Randi Lakpriya from Sujata Vidyalaya in Mathura and Kavish Prabhat of Ratnapura Sivali Vidyalaya, make up the 6 students tied for the all-island first place in the 2017 GCE Ordinary Level Examination.
9,960 students got 9 A's at the 2017 GCE Ordinary Level Examination, and 73.05% of the students qualified for the advanced level. According to the Minister of Education, there is an increase in the percentage that progressed to the advanced level than last year. In comparison with 2016 results, percentage of students passing mathematics has increased by 4.43% to 67.24%. We also had to suspend the results of about 969 students.
In the meantime, Minister of Education expressed views on the ordinary level examination results.
We can see a progress in the results this year than any other year. Every parent can be happy if we can continue this way. We'll be able to make a revolutionary change in the education system of the country.
The Department of Examinations announces that students can apply for rescrutiny of their answer sheets before the 7th of April, while private candidates are requested to apply for the rescrutiny before the 12th of April.
Moving on with other stories, the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court today reissued an arrest warrant on former Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Arjuna Mahendran. The court reissued the warrant as the prosecution is currently working on getting a red notice from Interpol for his arrest. Let's now take a look at other stories making news across Sri Lanka. The revised bail applications submitted by the owner of Perpetual Treasuries Limited, Arjuna Aloysius, and its CEO, Kasun Palisena, were produced before the Court of Appeal today. Later, the judges decided to recall the case on the 12th of April. The former officer in charge of the avant-garde floating armoury, retired Colonel Alfred Wijetunga, was arrested by the Criminal Investigations Department and produced before the Galle magistrate. He was ordered to be remanded until the 9th of April. 10 suspects arrested in connection with recent incidents of violence in Kandy, including Amit Veerasinghe, were further remanded until the 4th of April by the Theldini Magistrates Court today. Meanwhile, a council member of Kundasale Pradesha Sabha, who was arrested by the Terrorist Investigation Division last evening for the same charges, was remanded until the 2nd of April.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka today announced that it has decided to continue accepting willfully mutilated, altered and defaced currency notes until further notice. Central Bank said the decision was taken considering requests made by the general public and the difficulties faced in exchanging willfully defaced currency notes after the 31st of this month, the deadline earlier set by the Central Bank. The general public is able to submit such currency notes to the Central Bank head office or regional offices located at Anuradhapura, Matale, Matara, Trincomalee and Nuwara or Kilinochchi, or instead send the same via registered post to the Central Bank at number 30 Janadipati Mawatha, Colombo 1. Willfully mutilated, altered or defaced currency notes should thereby be submitted together with a duly completed application form which can be obtained from the Central Bank website, regional offices or any branch of licensed commercial banks. The Central Bank also said currency notes that have been mistakenly marked in the form of a small dot or a line are not considered as willfully mutilated currency notes and can be used for further transactions. Now, financial analyst Sanjeeva Fernandez says the ripple effects of the recent fuel price hike by Lanka Indian Oil Company is looming. Speaking to First at 9, Fernando pointed out that if Ceylon Petroleum Corporation will not revise its prices, the government will have to bear increased losses through non-financial state-owned enterprises.
Lanka Indian Oil Company announced increases to fuel prices with effect from the 24th of March, citing heavy losses incurred by the entity. With its fuel price revision, Lanka IOC increased the price of a litre of octane 92 petrol by 9 rupees and a litre of diesel by 5 rupees. It leaves octane 92 petrol at 126 rupees a litre and diesel at 100 rupees a litre. Despite Lanka IOC's fuel price hike, state-owned fuel distributor Ceylon Petroleum Corporation insisted that it will not increase fuel prices.
Increase in oil prices will have ripple effects when it comes to the economy and CPC also, because currently CPC's prices, or currently the petrol and diesel prices which is set by CPC, is set at a crude oil barrel's price at $62. Prices are on kind of in the rising segment. US shale oil production also plays a significant role in it, but if CPC does not revise their prices, that means the non-financial SOE losses will probably increase for the government. Either it will be a fiscal loss, if it's passed it will be an inflationary cost.
He also went on to speak of the impact of an oil price hike on the Sri Lankan economy.
If you take past few couple of months, it has been on the gradual rising phase, even though it remain relatively stable. This will be obviously a function of world politics. That's one of the key determinants of crude oil prices. I mean, if it rises, what I can say is it's not good for the local economy and the local consumer as well.
And now to bring you a market update, the ASPI ended 0.57 points firmer at 6,476.78, edging up from its lowest closing level since January 23rd, hit on Wednesday. Turnover crossing was 3.5 billion rupees and total foreign purchases accounted for 81.7% of turnover. Let's cross over to Meshi Fernando from the Colombo Stock Exchange for a detailed report.
The turnover was 3.52 billion rupees with 107.6 million shares changed in hands in 5,010 trades. The market capitalization at the end of the day was 3,032.7 billion rupees.
Now, the Sri Lankan rupee closed higher today due to dollar sales by exporters late in the day. Inward remittances surpassed demand for the US currency by importers earlier. The rupee closed at 155 rupees and 50 to 70 cents per dollar compared to yesterday's close of 155 rupees and 60 to 70 cents. Let's take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other currencies around the world. Time to look at news from around the world. Now, at least 68 prisoners are dead and 2 police officers are injured after a fire swept through a prison in Venezuela during a riot yesterday. Dozens of men and women demanding to know if their loved ones had survived clashed with police officers in riot gear after news of the fire broke. At least 68 male prisoners were left dead and 2 police officers sustained injuries after a prison riot broke out by setting fire to mattresses in Venezuela in the area of Carabobo yesterday. According to a group that monitors the conditions inside Venezuela prisons, it is believed that the riot started after a Venezuelan officer was shot in the leg by an armed detainee. Flames soon sparked and began to spread as the mattresses in cells helped to spread the fire. Dozens of men and women demanding to know if their loved ones had survived clashed with police in riot gear. Later, the police used tear gas to disperse the crowd. Chief State Prosecutor said an investigation into what had happened would begin immediately. Nobel Peace Prize winner Malala Yousafzai has returned to Pakistan for the first time since being shot by Taliban militants. She arrived at Benazir Bhutto International Airport along with heavy security early this morning. Nobel laureate and education activist Malala Yousafzai returned to her native country Pakistan today, 6 years after she was shot by Taliban gunmen over her advocacy for schooling for girls. She arrived at Benazir Bhutto International Airport, flanked by heavy security early this morning. At age 17, Yousafzai became the youngest recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize in 2014 for her education advocacy. Now she is making her first visit to Pakistan since 2012 when masked gunmen stopped and boarded a bus taking her home from school and shot her in the head. After surviving the attack, Yousafzai was airlifted abroad and underwent surgery. Following her arrival in the country on the 4-day trip, Yousafzai met Prime Minister Shahid Khaqan Abbasi. Let's take a look at some other emerging stories from across the globe. Two people detained in connection with the fatal Russian shopping mall fire in Kemerovo were given pre-trial detentions at a court hearing yesterday. Director of the shopping mall faces charges of negligence in the fire, while a security guard is charged with failure to activate the fire alarm system. Officials have cited an electrical short circuit as the most likely cause of the fire, though arson has not been ruled out. Indian security forces have gunned down 4 militants during an encounter in northern Jammu and Kashmir state yesterday morning. After the day-long joint operation, 4 militants and as many rifles along with ammunition were recovered, along with several explosives and other devices. Colombian police said they seized more than 2 tons of cocaine yesterday before it was loaded to be shipped from the port of Santa Marta on Colombia's Caribbean coast. Police said the cocaine was destined to be sent to Mexico with stops in Panama and Costa Rica. The director of Colombia's national police said it was the largest drug bust this year on Colombia's northern coast.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Welcome back, and it's time for sports, and of course we move on to the bombshell which is rocking Australian cricket. Australia's coach Darren Lehmann is set to quit his role in the national team at the conclusion of the 4th and final test match in South Africa. The news comes hours after he broke his silence on the ball tampering scandal today and said he fears for the mental health of the 3 players embroiled in the saga. Meanwhile, an emotional Stephen Smith broke down at a media briefing today when he profusely apologised for his part in the ball tampering controversy. Speaking to media for the first time since admitting to ball tampering during the last test match with South Africa, the ex-Australian captain said even good people make mistakes. The gentlemanly image of cricket was seriously thrown into question when then Australian captain Stephen Smith, vice-captain David Warner and Cameron Bancroft were caught on television attempting to alter the state of the ball during the recent test match with South Africa. The players later admitted to ball tampering at a media briefing held at the end of the day's play. Smith and Warner were sacked as captain and vice-captain respectively and banned for 12 months, while opening batsman Bancroft was suspended for 9 months. Speaking for the first time since, ex-skipper Smith broke down at a media briefing after returning to Australia today.
I'm absolutely gutted. I hope in time I can earn back respect and forgiveness. I'm sorry and I'm absolutely devastated.
Why'd you do it?
Look, for me, I think my week has been around, good people make mistakes, and I've made a big mistake by allowing this to happen. It was a huge error of judgment on my behalf, and I'm deeply sorry. To see the way my old man's been.
Thanks, everybody.
Meanwhile, Australian coach Darren Lehmann also broke his silence on the matter today. While shrugging off any suggestion of resignation, the Australian coach admitted the confrontational style of play his side has been accused of will have to change.
I'm not going to resign. As we said, we need to change how we play, and within that, the boundaries we play. Obviously, previously we've butted heads on the line, but that's not the way to go about us playing cricket moving forward. The thing for me would be if we take a leaf out of someone like, say, New Zealand's book.
Hours after Lehmann said he would not resign, the Australian head coach had a change of heart after watching the emotional media briefing given by his ex-captain Stephen Smith. Lehmann added that it is only fair that he resigns after seeing Smith and Bancroft hurting. He will bring his tenure to an end at the conclusion of the current Test series being played against South Africa.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Let's now cross over to Manusha Jayathilak at the Other Derana Weather Centre with your forecast first, evening edition.
A very good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Now your temperatures may vary between 21 to 32 degrees Celsius over the next 24 hours. Moving on to your rain forecast, we here at Colombo know that it was rather sunny and warm during the day today, but there will be some showers in several areas of the district tomorrow. Showers can also be expected in northwestern, Sabaragamu, southern and central provinces as well. Misty conditions meanwhile can be expected in most provinces during the morning hours. However, most parts of the island will see favourable weather conditions tomorrow. That's it from your weather centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. And before we go, we'd like to take you to the famous Hanthana mountain range in Kandy. The range is a favorite destination among mountain hikers and consists of 7 peaks with a maximum height of 3,800 feet. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Derana 24/7.